I am so excited to be able to introduce the person that we have invited to come and speak today. I first heard of this man a couple of years ago when I first read his book called Love Does, which has sold tons of copies. It was a New York Times best-selling book. Some of you have read it as well. That's tremendous. One of the things I love about Bob is that he used all the money the profit from Love Does and has built numerous schools in different parts of the world. One of those places is in Uganda, where Bob actually serves as the Ugandan ambassador to the U.S., which, for those of you that you're maybe into government or politics, when you look at Bob today, you're not going to go, wow, that guy screams Uganda. You would think maybe he was the U.S. ambassador to Uganda, but he has so much influence with that country that they made him the Ugandan ambassador to the U.S. And he's just a remarkable person. He's one of the most energetic, one of the most loving, one of the kindest men that I have ever been around. And he's a practicing attorney, so don't hold that against him. Just kidding. For those of you that are attorneys, that was just an attorney joke. We love you. We're glad you're here. But he is a practicing attorney. He's an adjunct professor at a number of schools, and he's just a bright guy, but he's also just a guy that is in love with Jesus, and he's here to tell us a little bit how we can love those people in our life that are difficult to love. And he's got a new book coming out called Everybody Always. So if you would, put your hands together, make a little bit of noise for the one and only Bob Goff.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. It's good to see you again. I'm so glad to be back here. Those of you that know me know I live with Sweet Maria Goff and this puppy of ours in San Diego. We've got 3 kids and I'm still barren. I'm not a grandpa yet. 2 of them are married. I got 2 ponies in that race. I keep telling my son that's not married, you're not a pony in that race. But I'm just waiting. They're not expecting. I'm constantly expecting. I'm like, forget Instagram. I want a sonogram. My son went to Hawaii with his wife a couple weeks ago. He called me up. He said, Dad, it's been raining all week. I'm like, yes! More wine to the cabana. Oh, but I'm just so honored to be here. Just with the whole staff at not only here, but in all the campuses that have been here, they just love you guys. And so just honored to be part of this morning that we could talk about how do we just love people well. I've actually sailed over to Hawaii, actually 2 times I've done it. And the first time I went over is the Transpac race. And they, if you don't know the Transpac, they make you steer by the stars over there, no GPS. And so we got the navigator off a destroyer to be our ringer on the boat. 2 days before the trip, they changed his orders. And these guys, they made me the navigator. Which is just stupid. I'm not a detail guy. I'm like, So I went to the store. I said, I need a map. They're like, it's a chart. I'm like, whatever. So I got a ruler and I put one end on Long Beach and the other end on Diamond Head, and I drew a line. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a compass rose, and that's where you figure out what the line is and you figure out your course. Well, did you know there's a difference between true and magnetic north? It's only a couple degrees. And from here to the parking lot, it's like a 1/16 of an inch. But from here to Hawaii, you miss the entire chain. Your first landfall will be Japan. They'll be like, welcome. So one of the things that I'm realizing about myself, and before you laugh at me too much, at the count of 3, I want you to point to where north is. Now, no looking at your neighbor. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. That's Mexico. And there's another guy pointing up the chimney. I mean, for a church called North Point, I'm just saying, north is right there. I carry this compass around with me, literally. I walk into hotel rooms and I'm just kind of a quirky guy. Are you guys picking up on that? And I'll just try to think of where north is, and then I get my compass out. Say, where's true north? And I'll tell you, there's something beautiful about figuring out where true north is in your life. And it's easy to get a couple degrees off. I mean, it happens to all of us. Doesn't mean you're bad, it makes you you. Like, that's how we get. And the beautiful part, the message of Scripture to us, is that we could actually know God. And I have never heard God's voice out loud. I mean, the only time I've heard it is when I was reading the Bible out loud. Like, literally, I'm just reminded when I read Scripture, it points me towards true north. And you know what? Who else does? You guys. Like, leading these beautiful lives. Even though we all have these picadillos, even though we all get a little bit off from one time to another, I don't know, I'm just trying to do this thing. And the way to point people towards Jesus is to demonstrate immense patience towards them. How many of you are impatient? Come on, raise them. You thought it took too long for me to ask. Like, so I'm super impatient. Paul had the same problem. He was talking to his friend Timothy, and he said this. He said, I was shown mercy so that in me, the worst of the sinners, that Christ Jesus could put on display his immense patience. Say immense patience with me. Immense patience. One more time. Let them hear you outside, even online. Immense patience. That's how people will know where true north is. They see you and you're just not all wired and amped out on like Red Bulled out, over caffeinated. It just wants immensely patient people, and it's hard because I'm not patient. I don't know how you're wired. I'm not wired that way. Here, try this with me. Here, I want you to lift up your right foot and go clockwise with it, right? Guys, that's to the right. Okay, you can even do this online. And then while you're still going right, I want you to lift up your right hand and draw a 6. Did your foot go backwards? Isn't that awesome? People say, what did Bob talk about? I'd be like, I don't know, but check this out. God loves us, but he's wired us so wildly different than that. We want immense patience, and our foot goes the wrong way. The last time I was here was in November. Remember? I told you I didn't get a lot of sleep. I didn't tell you why. I landed at the airport and I pressed my Uber, right, to come get me. How many of you guys have pressed Uber and gotten a message like this? It said, Jesus is arriving now in a Honda Accord. I'm like, who knew? A chariot, clouds with lightning. I didn't think he was going green. Well, I pressed the wrong button on my phone. I pressed Uber Pool by mistake. Now, I thought that was something you swim in until last time I was here at North Point. And a pool means you stop everywhere between the airport and Alpharetta, Georgia. And every 1,000 miles, you save a nickel. And so it's 1:30 in the morning. We stopped at every single bar. It was like the clown car. 2 drunk guys would get in, one would hurl, the other would get out. I offered the driver $100. I was like, just take me to the hotel. And he's like, stinks to be you. Well, I could have sat in the back of the car and pouted about it. I could have thought of what a raw deal I got. You could do that with your life too, but I decided to demonstrate immense patience. And that means getting involved. So we pulled up to the next bar. And I just jumped out of the car. I'm like, you guys get in here. Nobody will die in a traffic accident. Like, we'll give you a ride. I walked a guy to his door at 2:15 in the morning and knocked. Wrong house. And the person that answered the door was not immensely patient. But there's something about that. I'm still answering my telephone. I still get 100 calls a day from people calling up just to talk. I get a call from this young guy about every 3 weeks. He just cusses at me. I thought I heard all the cuss words. Evidently, there's new ones. And we've never gotten to what he's mad about. But I don't want this guy to climb a tower with a rifle. I don't want him to say that to some guy that just walked out of a biker bar. They'll kill him. What I'm demonstrating is immense patience. I'm a lawyer. I'm right for a living. But I'm not trying to be right anymore. I'm trying to be Jesus. And if you want to keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, you got to know where true north is, and you need to be immensely patient with the people around you, even the ones that kind of creep you out a little bit. I got a call from this one woman. She said, oh, thank goodness you answered. I'm like, oh, honey, are you okay? She's like, no, I heard you were dead. I'm like, tell me you're not reading a newspaper dated tomorrow. I need to be a grandpa first. Well, I've been traveling back and forth to Washington, D.C. They are not immensely patient, have you noticed? And so I'm trying to help these guys work through this dispute they have, which is like everybody. So I'm sitting next to a guy, and he shows me his phone. There's a message in the phone that says, "Do you know who Bob Goff is?" And I kind of smiled. He told me about this guy. His name is Greg Murtha. Greg is the guy behind Bob Buford's halftime movement. He's just this phenomenal business, larger-than-life guy. He got cancer. He'd been through 100 rounds of chemotherapy. He was literally on his deathbed. And so my friend texts back to him. He says, "Bob's sitting right next to me." And 30 seconds later, the phone dings and there's a message from him. He says, "Will you ask Bob if he'll write the foreword to my book?" And people, there's only one answer to that. If you say no, you go straight to hell. You don't even die first. It's just eternity separated from God. So I said, obviously, I'd be honored to do that. And Greg went on to dance with Jesus the next day. But here was the problem. I'd only met Greg one time. So for the next month, I talked to all of his friends. I said, "Tell me about the life Greg led." And you know what they all said? He was immensely patient. I'll tell you, if we want to be the people that Jesus has us to be, we need to figure out that we're wired for love. And even though we don't feel wired for patience, we can exhibit patience with people. One of the things that you have to figure out is, why do you do what you do? You will never see me in a photograph without wearing the stupid Boston Red Sox hat. I'm not a Red Sox guy. I don't even go to baseball games. You know why I wear it? Because my neighbor Carol was a huge Red Sox fan, and she was gonna start her dance with Jesus by the end of the week. So we made a deal. I said, "Carol, I'll wear your hat for the rest of my life and represent the Sox here on earth, but every time Jesus walks by you, you need to mention my name." I read that verse in Matthew, "I knew you not." I'm like, "Carol, know why you're doing what you're doing. Don't just be patient, because I'm trying to be patient because I want to point people towards the feet of Jesus. I want to demonstrate patience with people because I don't want them to meet all my attitude. I want them to meet Christ. And you have to get over a lot of like self-ambition, and you have to get a lot of your little picadillos. I'm like a pretty outgoing guy, but I'm actually a super extroverted introvert, kind of a quiet guy, all evidence to the contrary. I was on a flight from Chicago to Springfield, Illinois, and I looked across the aisle, and there's a guy reading my book. I'd never seen anybody reading it in the wild before. So I took a picture of it. I put it on Instagram. I said, "There's a guy reading my book." And all these people wrote back, "You gotta meet him, you gotta meet him." But I just didn't want to be that guy, right? So we landed in Springfield. He goes into the terminal, and he's messing around with his luggage. And I thought, should I tell him? I walked up and said, "Throw out the book!" There's no cool way to say that. And he starts shaking. He looked like he was gonna have a stroke. I'm like, "Buddy, are you okay?" He's like, "No, my wife gave me this stupid book to read. It's about Jesus, and you wrote it, you're sitting behind me." It's like, God's stalking me. And you know where I went on New Year's? I went to Springfield, Illinois to watch him get baptized. God is immensely patient with us. Why do you do what you do? Some of you are so busy providing for your family that you're actually not providing for your family. I've learned this the hard way as this young lawyer trying cases. I'd taken 1 year of my life recently, and I had somebody that felt like a bit of an intervention, and they put it with strings. They put it on a map. This is 1 year of my life, and this woman, Sweet Maria, who has never raised her voice or said a cross word to me in the 35 years I've been loving her, or the 33 she's been loving me back. When I pulled into the driveway, this is what was in the window. She wasn't saying she needed help. She was saying I needed help. And so we need to figure out, why are we doing what we're doing? If you want applause, join the circus. If you want Jesus, demonstrate immense patience. And what comes with immense patience is immense sensitivity. And do whatever it takes to remind you about the man or woman that you want to become. I read this little kid's book. The premise of the book is really simple. It's whatever you fill your bucket with, you'll become. And so, you know what? I just thought it made a lot of sense. So I went to Home Depot and I bought a bucket. Best $6 I ever spent. I took it everywhere with me for 3 months. I would get on airplanes with my bucket. I looked like I was a dairy farmer. And people would ask me, like, do you have a bladder problem? I'm like, actually, yes. But that's too much information. All right. Well, I have a problem. I'm not patient. So I've been trying to fill my bucket with patience. You'll become whatever you fill it with. You want to fill it with a bunch of arguments? You'll turn into a lawyer. You want to fill it with a bunch of business deals? You'll turn into a business person. If you want to turn into Jesus to the people around you, you will be immensely patient. I have this friend, Randy Phillips. We're not friends anymore. He's got this band called Phillips, Craig, and Dean. It kind of sounds like a law firm, but he's also the pastor of a church. And he asked me a year in advance if I'd come down and speak at his church on a Sunday. And I said, oh, sure, Randy. And so I get there, you guys, it's Super Bowl Sunday. I'm like, Randy, did you know it was Super Bowl Sunday when you asked? He's like, I knew nobody'd come if you weren't there. I'm like, I hate your guts. Well, I spoke at his service. I had to spend the night away from Sweet Marie, which I hate. And the next morning, I'm bolting back to the airport in my Avis car. And I pulled into the Avis lot, and I got that guy. Have you ever gotten that guy? He's so slow. I mean, my clothes are going out of style, and they're already out of style. I'm like, buddy, really? Really, for 20 minutes? Then I looked in the passenger seat, and I saw my stupid bucket. And I'm like, fill it with patience, fill it with patience, fill it with patience. When I got there in the fall, he came in the spring. And he opened the door and he said, how was your rental car experience? In the old days, I just would have hit him. But because I'd been filling my bucket with patience, I was able to get out of the car with my bucket and said, man, I'm good, you're good, I love Abe, I love everybody. And I started walking to the terminal to get a new ticket because my plane was long gone. He runs up behind me and he says, I just want to tell you, that was an awesome sermon yesterday. I'm like, you were there? Oh, people, they're watching you. You can't come here and talk about Jesus and then go out in that parking lot and be other than immensely patient, because that's it. But you got to know what you want. Like, what do you want? What is it? I want patience. I want grandkids. I'm crystal clear on what I want. I'm not feeling that patient about it, but I still want them. But if you don't know what you want, you'll be like this dog that goes out and gets all these sticks. You'll go get everything. Just ask God to continue to remind you where true north is and be immensely patient with the people around you. Paul gave some great input on that. He talked about, in Philippians 2, he talked about not doing anything out of selfish ambition, but instead in humility to consider others and value them above yourself. I get letters every once in a while from somebody who's upset about something. And what I do is 3 things. I would just assume that they're smarter than me. Oftentimes they use words I don't know yet. And so I look them up in the dictionary to figure out, just assume they're smarter than me. And then the second thing I do, I just assume that they love God more than me. That's this idea of valuing other people more than you. And the third and most important thing I do is I come up with the least creepiest explanation for whatever just happened, right? Because it's easy to come up with the most creepiest explanation, but what about the least creepiest? Patient people do that. And so I was speaking at a church that was like this size. There's one empty seat in the front row right there. And this woman comes about 20 minutes late into the talk, and she's got a 7-foot boa around her neck, not like feathers from the 50s, like a python. I was like, ah! And I'm like, Bob, get a hold of yourself. I just assumed she was smarter than me. All evidence to the contrary. I assumed that she loved God more than me because she was certainly on track to meet him sooner than me. And then I thought, what's the least creepiest explanation for this? And you know what I came up with? Maybe she doesn't know. I thought she ducked under a branch on the way to church and wrapped around. I'm like, I'm not telling her. Be immensely patient. And don't just invite people, welcome them. My son got married after he's been touching knees with this girl since the 4th grade. And I don't have grandkids. And so they finally decide they're gonna get married. I'm like, yes. Well, so the reception's like $200 a plate. I'm like, don't they make corn dogs anymore? So I sent out all these invitations because I read the same parable you did about the guy that says invite everybody. And there's this one family, they got like 6 kids and they're all just nuts. I mean, if they showed up, all the neighborhood cats would be gone, the cake would be on the floor. And they RSVP'd, they said they were coming. I'm like, no, just because I invited you didn't mean I wanted you there. And I'll tell you, people of God, if people walk into your churches and your homes and in your faith gatherings, they know whether they've just been invited or whether they're welcomed. I don't want to just invite people. Patient people welcome people. I mean, getting invited is easy. Nothing says you're invited more than the Statue of Liberty. I mean, it says bring your weak, your poor, sneak in here, just get over here. Hey, have you ever seen her face up close? Check this out. It's just a really angry French woman. I'm like, who are you? Actually, I think I figured it out, you guys. Right there. Yeah. I want people to meet you and all of your patients with their wonky behaviors and remember where true north is and be patient with them. And there's something beautiful that happens. We evidently have a Major League Baseball team in San Diego. Who knew? And they said somebody's gonna speak after this baseball game and somebody else is gonna do rap. So I like Chase, I just thought I'd do rap. I mean, I was practicing. So, they said, Bob, would you like to throw out the first pitch in the game? And I thought, more than I want to breathe. But how many of you are parents in here? And if somebody wants to do something awesome for you, who do they do it for? Your kids. So I said, would it be okay if my son Richard took the mound and threw the first pitch? And so Richard takes the mound and he 3-hops it to the plate. I thought he was throwing all strikes from where I sat. That's the way patient parents are. And so Maria and I play catch all the time. We have this ball, it's called a clincher. It's bigger than a softball. They made these during the Depression because people couldn't afford mitts. And so it's so big that you don't have to have a mitt, but it's so soft that nobody can hit a home run. I'm like, that'll preach. And so I think what the God of the universe wants to do is he just wants to play catch with you, and he's infinitely patient. Coming at you. He just wants to play catch with you. Be that guy. I'm going to throw it to you. Are you terrified right now? Are you thinking what if I drop the ball? You know what? The beautiful thing about the God. You know what the beautiful thing is? Good fathers step closer. They do. They'll just find you where. Are you feeling far away from God? You're far away from me. Coming at you. Like that idea. He's just immensely patient. And if you don't think you can make it all the way back, the whole idea is just to throw it back to God. He says, I want more than a ball. I want your whole life. But I'll be immensely patient with you. He's a good father. He will find you wherever you are. Say, let's play catch. Wouldn't it be silly if I said to my son, Adam, let's play catch? And he said, oh, actually, no, I'd just rather study you on a Wednesday night in a living room with other people. I'm like, no, actually, let's just go play catch. The God of the universe wants to engage you, but he wants to engage you with this whole idea of gratefulness. He wants to engage you. He wants to make you more patient by making you more grateful, because we only have a little bit of time. When Greg passed, it reminded me. I actually brought this tape measure to remind me of this. How long are you going to live? Assuming today goes great. What do you think? 80, 90? 100. All right, good on you. Right? So this isn't happening. Okay, so I'm 59, so this already happened. It was terrific. So we only have this much time. Actually, and I ate a lot of Pop-Tarts. So, and I take Uber? Like, so we only have such a short period of time. You know how I want to spend mine? I don't want to be Jesus's lawyer. I want to be immensely patient. And I think if you're going to play catch with God, he just wants us to. He woos us. It's John 17. It's this beautiful story so many of you have heard before. Go ahead and throw John 17 up. It's a story about the 10 lepers. They met, it says that they stood at a distance from him. They knew they had problems, and so they stood far away from Jesus, and some of us do. We're so embarrassed by some of the things we've gotten wrong. We are the perceptions of ourselves, our mistakes, and Jesus never looks at who you were. He sees who you're becoming. He's throwing the ball to that person, that woman. Here we go, this guy, right there, both of you. Like, he throws the ball to you. He's saying, like, let's just play catch. Let's go do the next thing. You know how this story ends. In the next slide, he saw one of them came back and to say he was healed. And he came back with gratitude to say thank you. What are the chances that we'll be that with the period of time that we have left, that we'll come back to the God of the universe to say thank you to him? Jesus' words to this guy were simple. He just said, where are the other 9? I don't think this was an indictment. I think he was saying, come back to me with gratefulness and then go throw the ball to the other 9. And to say, let's go live grateful, patient lives. If you know where true north is, you're going to get there. Go tell people about that. But we don't lead people to Jesus. Jesus leads people to Jesus. And what he wants us to be is patient. And there's something grateful. Gratefulness leads to action. It just does. Every time. It isn't just this feeling of gratefulness. It's the expression of gratefulness in the world. There's a church up in Redding, California, and they asked if I'd come and speak at their gathering. And I said, sure. They said, see you at 9 o'clock. So I got there early and ate some waffles and showed up at about 8:30. And they said, oh, Bob, it's 9 o'clock at night that we need you. I'm like, who are you? Well, it wasn't a problem to burn the day in Redding. There's like one flight every week or two in there, evidently. I had to be in Los Angeles to do the commencement for this university for 10,000 people at 8 o'clock sharp the next morning. There's no flights. So I could have blown out of this thing, but I decided that I want to take Jesus at his word. In John 17, Jesus is talking to his daddy, and he says this, I brought glory to you on earth by finishing the work you gave me to do. People of God, finish your work. And it's going to take some patience to get there. You know what my work is? Keep my word. I could have told these people there's a confusion and I'm out, but finishing my work means keeping my word, and it means the same for you. You said something, you've been tracking with Jesus for 20 years or 20 minutes, or you came for the pizza. There's no pizza. There's just Jesus. And keep your word. Whatever you said, don't feel bad about when you drop the ball, but draw closer to him. And to say, I'm going to figure out where true north is again. I'm a couple degrees off. I'm going to go after this. And so I stayed till 9 o'clock at night. And you know what I did at 10 when I finished? I called Uber again. What a bad idea. This guy's more tired than me. Like literally, it's gonna be an 11-hour drive. We're 15 minutes into it. He's like hitting those like dots in the middle, like da, 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 da. And so I made him pull over. I drove us to Los Angeles. And when we got there, he charged me $950. I'm like, no! Well, I got to the commencement. I was just bone tired. I'm like, you guys are commenced. I'm gonna find a bed. And the president of the university said, Bob, would you like to go to a woman's softball game? I'm thinking, heck no. I haven't slept in 30 hours. But you know what I'm working on? Immense patience. And so I said, I'd be delighted to. We went to the ball field. He points to this woman on first base. He said, let me tell you about this team from Washington State. They were playing a team from Central Oregon. And in the last inning, the girl in Central Oregon hits this home run. As she's rounding first base, she tears her ACL and goes down. The rules of the game, if they get a pinch runner, they get a stand-up double, they lose the game. If they assist her, if her teammates help her, it's an automatic out. And so he points over to first base again and says, you know what that woman and her friend did? The opposing team picked her up and carried her around the bases. That's what immense patience does. It lifts people up who've dropped the ball along the way. It points them back towards true north, but not by waving a bony finger at them, but demonstrating immense patience with them. I'm on Twitter every morning. I'll send out a thought each day. And I actually got a new follower on Twitter. Check this out. I said, Jesus Christ is following me. I thought it was supposed to be the other way around. I actually checked. This guy only has 12 followers. I'm like, one of them will betray you. Oh, wrong Jesus. But if following Jesus doesn't lead me and you to hurting, lonely people we need to be patient with, then we're not following Jesus. It's easy to get a couple degrees off. This whole idea of finding people who give you the creeps and engaging them with love. So Paul's talking to Timothy again. He says, God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and self-control. That's what patience looks like. It looks like no fear and power and love and self-control, and finding creepy people, like people that have been through some really difficult times that you don't know how that's going to turn out, but you engage them anyway. We're starting our next school next month in Afghanistan. What could possibly go wrong? But we're doing it, not with fear, but with power and love and self-control. And when Jesus isn't dazzled when you go across an ocean, he's dazzled when you go across the street. When you find somebody across the office, if you're in school, go across your campus. You might be married to somebody. It takes a tremendous patience, like Sweet Maria is married to me. But to just delight in that, to say, I'm going to demonstrate immense patience. I'm going to point myself towards Jesus, and I'll hope that Bob will catch up to me. There's something beautiful about that. In Mogadishu, Somalia, we have a school. There's some young men that were child soldiers. They were actually captured by Uganda's military, sentenced to death, but we actually got them. And they're learning how to read and write right now, and they have these harrowing stories of what they were talked into doing. This young man was supposed to go in with an exploding vest into a crowded group of people. And you know what? He called his mom on the way in to say goodbye. He told her what he was going to do, and you know what she said? If you kill yourself today, I'll put a curse on you. I love moms. So you know what he did? He took the vest off. And my best day this year is when we got a bunch of surfboards and we took these kids that had been kind of brainwashed into this horrible, creepy thing. We actually took them surfing. I want to show you a picture of this kid's first wave. I'll tell you guys, that takes immense patience to see who people are turning into. And that's what Jesus sees in you. He sees the man or woman that you're becoming. And you just got to be patient with yourself. You know what happened after this kid caught his first wave? This. He wiped out, and you will too. You'll mess up. You know what? God is immensely patient with you. He wants you to just get back here, throw me that ball. He just wants you to throw the ball again. He just wants you to go. You have this big plan for God, his plan for your life. It's just to go where he throws the ball. It's that simple. Well, we've got a mailman on our block. He's horrible at it. I mean, just not a detail guy. And so for 20 long years, he's been delivering the mail to the wrong people. That's why all of our neighbors know each other. Like, they get my credit card bills, I get theirs. One guy was getting audited. I'm like, oh, it stinks to be you. So Art, after all these years, 2 decades of doing a bad job, he finally said he was going to retire. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. And so we have this parade on our block. We do it because we don't think this idea of loving your neighbor is a metaphor for something else. We just think it means to love and celebrate your neighbors. So we made Art the grand marshal of the parade. We got a convertible. We put thousands of envelopes in the back of it. We just said, Art, just do what you do every day. Just like, whatever, right? 100 people showed up to let Art know just how much they loved him and how tremendously patient they had been. Art was so moved by this. He called me the next day. He said, Bob, I'm coming out of retirement. I'm like, no! And so every single day I get somebody else's mail, I'm demonstrating immense patience. I gotta close with this. I have a friend, her name is Kelly. She's this amazing woman in her 40s, and her heart started beating super rapidly. They didn't know what was up. A doctor wisely life flights her to UCLA Medical Center. They crack her chest open. They say, your heart is gonna die by tomorrow. And without a transplant, it's all over. And tragically, somebody was in a car wreck. They took this heart and they put it in Kelly's chest and gave it a flick. And ever since then, Kelly's been going around the world, climbing the highest mountain peaks with a brand new heart. This is Kelly on the top of the Matterhorn. And here's the problem. Because of all the nerves have been cut, because this is a new heart, her heart always thinks it's at sea level. And the beautiful thing that she's learned to do is to whisper to her heart. As she starts climbing the Matterhorn, she's whispering to her heart, this is really hard work. I mean, hard, you gotta beat. And when she gets to the top, she has to whisper to it again that it's time to rest. I want us, as we draw these circles and sixes in the air, as this reprogramming of the way that we see things, where we know where true north is, to whisper to our heart these two words, immense patience. Will you grab a shoulder or a hand or whatever's not creepy next to you? You know. Can you come here? Can I get in on this? Oh, Jesus, you know our hearts. You know how much we want to be like you. Give us the guts and the grit to see people, to draw sixes with our lives, to let them know how grateful we are, to play catch with you once again, and to know where true north is. In your strong name, amen. Thanks, you guys. Let me ask you one last question. Where's true north? That's what we do. We point each other towards Jesus. All right, thanks, guys.